So this is part 7. Hi. This is actually my first back-to-back episode. So the last one was part 6, and this is part 7, and today I'm talking about things I learned last year. So I already got up to number 11, which was that just because someone is mad at me, it doesn't by default mean, ooh, kicked the stand again, I've done something wrong. So, yeah, you can, if you want to hear the rest of that bit, you can go back to video number 6. This is video number 7, and I'm picking up at point number 12 of what I learned last year, which is that not every night out needs to be 6 to 8 bad drinks. This is embarrassing. I go drinking with friends sometimes, and I feel that I haven't really had a night out unless I've had, like, maybe 6 to 8 drinks. And that's, first of all, expensive, and also not healthy, and also I'll say or do something stupid a lot of the time. So, yeah, not 20 years old anymore. Time for me to act a little bit with a little more restraint, and sometimes instead of getting like 6 to 8 bad drinks, maybe it's good to just get 2 or 3 nice drinks that are more of a sipping quality, not that guzzling gross soda kind of mixed drink, but just to get something that's a little more, that will last longer, taste better, is not going to be a horrible headache the next day. Something I've learned last year. But okay, honestly, I still do like a good kamikaze. Maybe you've noticed that I have these scars on my fingers across here. I don't know if you've noticed them, but I got those scars when I was 15 years old, and I was going to, I mean, I was a pretty good kid most of the time, but I went to a club in my hometown of Fukuoka, and I went with my brother. Yes, and I got pretty drunk. How many drinks did I have? I had 3 kamikazes in a row. I got pretty drunk, and I smashed the light bulb under the counter. And just, yeah, so that's where that scar is from on my fingers. That's, yeah. Okay, anyway, number 13. If a book or film isn't fun in the first 30 minutes, it's not going to be worth it. Like, I think people tell me to watch a series or something, or to watch a movie, and they say, yeah, I know the first half hour is pretty slow, or it's like really boring. It's really, but you have to keep watching it because it gets really good. I've never enjoyed that. I mean, something's got to really kind of catch my attention or be good within the first 5 minutes for me. Otherwise, it's not worth watching. So that's kind of become my rule. I know that in the past I've been like, if I buy a book, I'm going to finish it. Even if it's bad, even if I don't enjoy it. If I bought a book, or if I bought a cinema ticket, if I have a movie, I start watching it, I'm going to finish it no matter how much. It's just, you know, I have a lot of things I'm doing. I'm busy. A lot of projects I want to work on. And for the things that I take in, entertainment, media, for example, it takes a lot of time to watch a series, or even to watch a movie or a film. You know, it takes 2 hours of time, at least for film, right? So it's a decent commitment of time, and I don't feel obligated to sit through anything that I'm not enjoying. So I've kind of changed my stance on that, if one indeed needs to have a stance even about something so trivial. But yes. Okay, was that number 13? Okay, number 14 is that healing takes time, but to be patient with myself and to notice even the smallest of improvements. Last year was, I'm not going to go into a lot of the details in this video because I've talked about it a bit in previous videos, but basically I had a very, very bad breakup, and went I had basically a emotional breakdown, mental breakdown. Um, went to a very dark time. That's the brief of it. Okay, but I got a bit frustrated myself because the healing process took time. I couldn't draw very much. I had very little enjoyment in my art or in most things that I would typically enjoy. And I kind of felt that loss, and I was very eager to stop feeling that way. I didn't want to. I know in grief, processing grief is, I think, quite exhausting at times, and you just want to get over it. So you want to like plug it out with things like well, well with distractions. Let's just say distractions, alcohol, food, whatever. I don't know. Okay, you'll try to distract yourself with things when you really need to be. Sometimes the distractions are good, but sometimes you need to let yourself process that grief in a more natural way. And I think I got very impatient with myself that it was taking so much time for me to feel normal again. But it went from me really waking up feeling like shit every day and crying in the mornings and going to work and putting on a face and putting on a show, and that was actually good for me. I think my work at the time really helped me to kind of forget about myself and just to throw my heart into doing something else. That was good for me. But what was I saying? That basically it took time, and I think that the minute I started being able to, when I walked to the bus in the morning, stop looking at my shoes and looking up at the sky instead, or just looking straight ahead of me and not, that was in itself a huge step. I don't take it for granted that I can do that now, for example. So yeah, the healing takes time, but to be patient with yourself and to notice even the smallest of improvements. Okay, I don't know which number was that. Was that number 14 or number 15? Let's just say it was number 15. I'm losing count. There's 3 more. The other thing I've learned is not to put myself down to make other people feel better. I think it's okay to joke about yourself and to use yourself as humor, to put yourself down a bit, as to be, is it self-deprecating or self-depreciating? I never knew which one of those was correct, but to kind of use yourself as the humor. That's fine. I'll do that sometimes. But sometimes I do that in an attempt to make other people feel better. Not because like I'm amazing or something like that, but like if they'll be talking shit about themselves, I'll put myself down even lower and say, no, you're not horrible, I'm even worse, blah blah blah, and all. But that's not necessarily a bad thing in itself. But like why do we need to even put ourselves down at all? So I've tried to change my mind about that. I wanted to be more positive about myself. So I'm making an effort not to put myself down if I can help it, because I need all of the strength and that I can get. So trying to be more positive like that way. Turning this over, I'm going to start working this way. Okay, next one is, it's okay to be mad or sad. I think that I'm raised in I'm raised, my family was Christian. I still do see the world through quite a Christian lens in a lot of ways in my narratives. I don't consider myself a Christian anymore, but I think that just like culture or language, those perspectives do shape your view of things. So for example, when I wish someone well, my feeling is not so much of, like, oh, I'm sending positive vibes your way. The sentiment is more something of prayer, although I'm not actually praying to Jesus Christ or anything like that. But the sentiment, I feel, is closer to that of praying for someone in the Judeo-Christian way. Or maybe as my grandmother was Buddhist and I did used to pray with her at the altar, when I would do that, the position of my heart felt like the same position of my heart when I was praying to Jesus Christ, for example. So, but no, that was a bit of a tangent, but I think that a lot of my upbringing there's a lot of focus on intrinsically positive and intrinsically negative emotions, like be positive, have faith, be thankful, see the good, and kindness, honesty is very about virtues, and that's virtues are good. It's good to be honest. It's good to be kind. It's good to be happy, but we have this. I think what I think was wrong is that some people believe that sadness or jealousy, or I'm not saying jealousy is good, okay, but like sadness or anger or loss or doubt or those kind of negative emotions are intrinsically bad things in themselves. And I think that, of course, they can be linked to negative actions, but I think that every emotion has a purpose, right? It's our mind psychologically coping. It's a coping mechanism. So just by suppressing them and saying, don't be sad, be happy, be happy, be happy, it's actually quite negative because we're not letting our psyche process things in the way we should be processing them. So that's one thing I learned this year. I try to fight the sadness of the loss and of the, and I say, as I listen to myself talk, I hear myself say, so much. It's a little bit, ちょっと気になるっていうか, it's a little bit annoying. But yeah, I try to accept and feel those emotions. That way, it's easier to let them go when they're not elusive and when you're not having some sort of pseudo thankfulness or pseudo happiness. Life is not so easy, and you can't just understand everything from the lens of joy and of positivity and happiness. Sometimes we need a moment of darkness to really be able to appreciate the better times, and we learn more from the dark times. So yeah, sometimes I let myself be sad, and it doesn't stay long, If I've let myself be sad for a little bit, usually naturally the happiness will come back, and when it does come back, it's a more authentic, more I feel more natural kind of a happiness. Okay. So what I've written is, it's okay to be mad or sad. I don't always have to be happy and distract myself from the negative emotions. Much of the stress comes from my thinking about that experiencing negative emotions is an inherent personality flaw, but avoiding them is actually unhealthy and can result in not resolving the situation that brings sadness or anger on. It can be hard work, but from now on, I'm going to try to validate all of my emotions, both negative and positive. Feel them, control them, and move past them in due time. But see, the thing is, in order to move past them, you kind of have to identify them first. And that's what feeling those emotions is about, right? Yeah. And also, I'm not very good at controlling sadness or anger because I've never really let myself feel them. So I have anger management problems, actually. You wouldn't know it, but I don't know how to deal with anger because I've never really learned how to, because I've always been just kind of controlling it through, what's that word? A fake medicine? なんだっけ、オブラートじゃなくて、placebo. That kind of shallow happiness placebo, right? So I think there's a right way to be angry, to process the anger without letting it break you or make you do something bad, for example. So yeah, that's going to be what I learned this year. Still working on that. Okay, so the final thing that I've written down here I don't know which number I'm on, but I'm going to say it is not to let one person's view of me, however good or bad, cloud my judgment or affect my own self-worth. I think that other people's view of you can be insightful, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't take any heed or we shouldn't listen to people when they give us observations about ourselves. But I'm also saying that at the end of the day, you need to know yourself. And that you shouldn't let other people's view of you change your own view of you by default. You need to be critical of what other people say about you. Because you don't want to be a person that's made up of the opinions of others. I remember last year, when I was going through a really rough time, someone had said something really, really cruel to me. I'm trying to remember what it was. Actually, I do remember what it was now, but I don't really want to say it right now. But it was really cruel, and I was just shocked. And because I loved him so much, I thought it must be true. There must be something true there. And it was a judgment leveled at me about myself. So I talked to a friend about it, and I said, I feel so horrible about this, that, this was said to me. And he said, well, would you ever say that to anyone? For example, if someone said to me, Ken, you're fat. And by the way, I'm not. But let's just say someone said to me, I'm fat. Should I take their criticism or not? I would personally never go up to someone and say, you're fat. Not that being fat is a bad thing. It's okay. It's not a bad thing to be fat, but let's take your fat, because this was the illustration that my friend used, and it really hit home. I would never personally level that against someone. So why should I then take that metric and use it to judge myself? That would be a double standard, wouldn't it, right? So he said, don't use a separate metric for yourself and for others. Judge yourself fairly. Like, you would never, Ken, I know you would never ever say that to someone else. Like, let's call this person who said this to me Julia. Although the person who said it to me most definitely was not a woman. But basically, would you ever say what Julia said back to Julia? No, you wouldn't, Ken. So therefore, should you really be taking this as a valid thing? No, you should not. So basically, don't be unfair to yourself. Yeah, so that was really helpful. Thank you, Luke, for that really valuable piece of advice. And yeah, that's it. That's everything I wrote on that post of the things I learned in 2019. And I'm sure that I'll learn a lot of things this year as well. It feels a bit funny to be, I'm 29 now, to be still learning things, but the thing is, I'm actually not, I feel old, but I'm not at all. I think I'm just tired. That's ridiculous. I know I just said that and I've just made people groan. But yeah. これからも人生長いんで。ね。Yeah, that seems to be coming along quite nicely. Okay. Well. That's it for the YouTube video. But I'm going to continue drawing on my Facebook Live. So thank you for dropping by, and I will see you next time, YouTube. Goodbye.